So, okay, I'm starting for the day. Good evening to all students. And those, some of the students are new, of course. So they need to fill up the form too. Once they are filling up the forms, I will get their details accordingly. And then I will allot the topics, that is the final topics for all the students, which is to be actually allotted and which all we all are doing, because the proceedings of all this learning actually will go in a book form, and I and Parvati ji will actually coordinate accordingly and correlate all those works done by you students, and of course me and Parvati ji. So that is what the update for this particular internship and the CSS learning, the class. Today I will be talking about more about how the situation analysis of women are in India, of course. Basically, I would like to know from you guys first, what exactly, if I term something like an situation analysis, what did it exactly means? What comes in your mind? अगर मैं बात करता हूँ situation analysis की, then आपको आप उस चीज से क्या समझ पाते हैं? What exactly you would like to know, or you would like to say on that? What can be those things under coming under situation analysis of an woman? Any pointers? Okay. Um, Anyone would like to say, or anyone would like to write it down? No one. Okay, once see, whenever we are talking about women per se, the development of women, or of course, uh, the exact situation of a woman. Always we are taking in consideration certain reports in our hand, or certain analysis to be worked upon. Like suppose if I give you an analysis of in class, if I give you an analysis within the classroom itself, who is best and who is doing what. So what all I am going to do in the classroom. In the classroom, what I am doing is I'm evaluating you on the basis of your performance. And this performance can be in terms of evaluation, that is the term marks or half-yearly examinations or final examinations, or of course the project work which you all guys are doing. So I request others to please mute yourself. Because every now and then, if you guys are not in mute, it actually disturbing me. Okay, so in that particular situation, suppose I'm giving you certain task, and in that particular task, how well you are, or what exactly the role you people are playing in that, or what exactly the responsibilities you are taking up, or even if I'm giving the responsibilities, if there is certain variance on that, what is that particular variance in hand, or what all those reports are saying. Uh, According to that, actually, we are analyzing the situation of that particular class or the student, of course, the performance of that student. Likewise, in the same format, of course, whenever we are talking about students, or whenever we are talking about the women development, or women empowerment, or child development, even, because it is very much linked to a woman or the girl, of course. So we are taking consideration of certain reports, and these reports are actually the bigger data, which is telling the situational or conditional analysis of any specific gender or any specific domain, individuals or the community. That is why today I will be discussing on certain points how those reports, the reports which are being published across India and across globe, how those reports are actually analyzing the situations of women in India. So primarily, I will take some of the analysis on GDIs, that is what you call This is totally dependent upon the education status of a woman or the health status of the woman, or how the political woman is aligned towards or working towards a political participation. So generally, this is actually GDI or HDI, that Development ratio, and of course, gender specific related development ratio. These two are the bigger data set, which is talking about the situational analysis of a woman. Second comes whenever we are talking about the woman, we are more talking about the woman empowerment. And once I'm talking about the women empowerment, there can be some analysis on that also, that how exactly this woman empowerment is working, or what is the current situation of women empowerment in India. So gender empowerment measurements are also there, and these three dimensions which I am talking about is, that is GDI, SDR, and GEM. That is gender empowerment measure. These are globally accepted actually measures. This has been done through Ministry of Child Care and Development or Authority also, and of course by UNESCO, by UN, and all other authorities, those who are working towards making this data. So I will take the consideration of this data first, how exactly this data is, what this data is reflecting for the conditions of women in India. Just we will correlate the situational analysis on based on those data. Then we will move on to another superior data where we are talking about how the CSWI formed in 1974. What they are talking about, the women specific roles, of course. If suppose we are giving a certain roles to women, how much it is legitimate that we are talking about women empowerment, how good exactly it is. On the basis of certain things, we will discuss on moving on to that. And at the end, of course, I will give you 2 or 3 analysis, the complete analysis of how exactly that rural inequality, what Dr. Amrita Sen was speaking about, how exactly this is in India, of course, once we take consideration for a woman, of course. So please allow me to start my presentation here. And by the time, if anyone is having any data, any doubt, anything related to this, please let me know. किसी को भी कुछ ऐसा लग रहा है कि नहीं समझ में आया, हैंड रेस करके हिंदी में भी पूछ सकता है. Any doubt up to now what I am talking about, क्या बात कर रहा हूँ या क्या आप लोग को बेसिकली मैं एक डेटा की सेट से आपको ये बताना चाह रहा हूँ how exactly the woman empowerment of women development which we are talking about more and more where it really stands. I'm not taking the consideration of 2011 census. Why? Because you people will be presenting certain things for featuring that particular thing, because you will be taking the note of those census. I'm stuck up to you can say 2001 census and 2004-5 analysis. I'm not going beyond that, because then it will be good for you to actually use that particular data set of 2011 for your, of course, analysis. So whenever we are talking about this women empowerment, let me start. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you all know in any of the country, okay, in any of the country, if we talk about the population, half of the population is always women, of course, and the same lies with India, of course. A woman constitute almost half of India's population. That is globally acceptable towards all the country, of course. But still, the society and still the status of women and in the society is really unparalleled or unequal as compared to men. There can be various reasons, and there can be various which we can talk on later on also in later classes. But presently, today we will be discussing about how this exactly this situation analysis where they really lies actually. Then only we can relate on how to make this particular data, or how to make the condition of this woman in a better form. So let us find out what and where these particular differences are there. If I talk about the GDI, that is Gender Related Development Index, which has been introduced very much in line to Human Development Report. Okay, SDR is a complete set of report where a GDR. Okay, GDI of course is a one set of this. It's been formulated in the year 1995, and since then we are capturing the data set on this. And we are talking about, whenever we are talking about the GDIs and SDIs, we are talking about more the indicators of long and healthy life. That is the one way form. How the ladies are being educated, of what is the adult literacy rate, what is the enrollment in the primary school and secondary and later on higher education and tertiary too, and having a how the decent standard of living, that is purchasing power or the income of the ladies. So based on this particular data, or based on these particular set, or the of course indicators, GDI is working, and you can very well relate how exactly this GDI is connected toward the census or toward the development of any of the community. Of course, it's not only we are talking about the women only here. Of course, our topic is related to women. That is why we are taking more and more, or talking more and more about the women. But if you would really like to continue or contribute towards the preparation of any of the data set for human development, you can very well relate this particular data set of SDR and GDRs to anyone, of course, because this is talking about the healthy life, this is talking about the education, this is talking about the purchasing power parity of a community or the country, of course, or the state. You can define it as per the state, you can define it as per the country, you can define it as per the community too. And gender disparity too, you can very well relate. So coming to here, of course, once I'm talking about the GDIs, GDIs, the India falls with the GDI having an. I request team leaders to actually allow all those who are joining. If in India, if, the GDI falls somewhere around 0.600. So, and the SDI is falling around 0.619. So very much close relation between the GDIs and the SDIs. And if you take the comparison between the GDIs and SDIs, suppose if you divide 600 by 619, so somewhere our GDI value is coming somewhere around 96.9% of GDI SDI values. This is what how to actually calculate the values on that. And out of the 156 countries, if we take the case of SDIs and SDIs, 137 countries have a better ratio than India. So you can very well relate where our GDIs or where our development index falls actually. How short we are, of course, and how backward we are if we are talking about the development index as per the women, of course, and gender specifically if I'm talking about. The greater the gender disparity in basic human development, the lower is the country's GDS relative to SDIs. So it means if the gender disparity is more, it means a gender disparity between men and women is more or higher, there will be a lower GDI to that particular specific country, and of course the SDIs too. So this is very much relatable whenever we are talking about the development index and this particular data set. Now coming to GEM, of course, the gender empowerment measure.
The CSS class Saturday, Sunday மட்டும்
I request others to please switch off your audio, please. Okay. So now if we move on to gender empowerment measure, that is GEM. GEM is having around 116 countries are actually participating in this GEM, gender empowerment measurement. And the highest ratio of GEM is in Sweden, of course, 0.757. And this is the topmost, of course. Even the Norway is also having a 0.75. These two countries are having the topmost GDIs, of course, and of course GEM also. If you go through the GDIs also, these two countries, Sweden and Norway, they are the topmost. So, but among 116 countries, jam value for India is 0.226, very much below, of course. It is very much, uh, you can say, astonishing fact that a country like India actually falling under this particular subset, this particular bracket, that is a very low bracket of 0.226, wherein the countries which are very well, of course, they are the big countries and they are the very high-end countries, I must say, Sweden and Norway. So because of this, but the disparity between the relation, the power given to women as compared to men in these countries, if you compare to these countries to India, of course, it is very low. The deprivation and subordination that women suffer necessities. The deprivation and subordination that women suffer necessitates critical analysis of their situation in India. We have to locate the structural disadvantage that women face and find out the paths of redress. See, because of this particular subset, these particular 2 or 3 relations or correlations and the data set, we need to really understand what all those gray areas, how we can actually redefine or restructure our programs, our policies, our structural structures, so that we can actually give more and more power to the women, more and more women can go for a development kind of activities. Talking about women empowerment, women development is entirely different thing, and giving a power to women, of course, and women empowerment and working towards women empowerment is entirely a different thing, of course. This you can very well see here by this particular data set. Now, coming to the understanding of what exactly the conceptual framework for this is. Whenever we are talking about women per se or women empowerment or women development, there is a committee set up in India in 1974, that is Committee of Status of Women in India. That denotes the position of a social system and subsystem across India, of course. They are talking about the human rights, they are talking about the women rights, they are talking about the various other obligations and various other reasons and rankings and hierarchies for that. They, of course, what they are comparing is the status being given to the woman. If the woman is being given a certain kind of status, suppose in an office, a certain woman is working in some of the role, did that particular role, whatever the role or the responsibility which has been assigned to her, is it really the role of power, or is it really the that particular role set? Is there any disparity? Is there any distinction between the ideal role behavior and the expected role behavior of her, and of course the actual role behavior? What these three terminology defines actually this ideal role behavior, expected role behavior, and actual role behavior. Can anyone say on this? What exactly these three terms define actually? Anyone can unmute and tell me what exactly this terminology says. What is this ideal role behavior, expected role behavior, and actual role behavior? Did anyone would like to say on this? Okay, let me give you that the picture actually here. What exactly the ideal role behavior? If you go to any of the this thing, what you call website having an of course opportunity flagged in on that particular website of any of the company, whatever the responsibilities are been written there, all those responsibilities are actually the ideal role behaviors. The expectations by the organization is all those coming under this ideal role behavior. They are expecting you to be a I must say robotic person, having a different having a knowledge in different domains, having a experience on different domains, and working on so many things and likewise. So that is what the ideal role behavior is talking about. Then the expected role behavior, once you join in, okay, of course, then you will really find it out that what is being expected from you once you are joining in. And then the comes in, there is a difference between the ideal role behavior to the expected role behavior. And then once you started doing work there, the actual work role or actual role actually is there, which is you are performing. And these differences, this ideal role behavior to the actual role behavior and actual role behavior, this actually is defining the the role of women or the status of women in any organizations. Usually, 60 in any of the organization, if woman is there, or suppose I must say, starting from our home to the offices where all women are working, 60% load of the work is being taken up by women, of course, and 40% is being taken up by men. I'm talking as a gender, I'm talking as per the gender distribution. But if you go with the income distribution, this is entirely and vice versa. Somewhere in down the line, in some of the organizations, 60% work has been taken up by women, but they are getting less payment or, of course, salary. That is somewhere around 40% or so. So this disparity is there. This much difference is there. And there are the expectations of others. There are the conflicts between there are the expectations, there are the disparities, there are the conflict, of course, whenever we are working in professional world, there is a disparity between the role of women to the men. There are the expectations and there are the conflicts also. Assigning a role to the woman is always a difficult task for a man to be, because it really hurts their ego, usually. And that is why the status or this disparity actually is worldwide, was present universally. And this particular difference and the difference with regard to the achievement status that women acquire always actually poses a threat towards men as a specific or gender as a specific. And that is why always and always a composite status is being given to women whenever we are talking about status of women in, of course, our environment and our society. Even we talk about the society too. Coming to the society, of course, if I talk about the society per se for Indian status, if you go to anywhere, either if you've been to North India, or if you've been to eastern part of India, or if you've been to northern part of India, role or the responsibility is being taken up by women is tremendous, and it is, of course, varied state to state. But the domination or the male domination or the patriarchal domination is, of course, very well present. If you take the consideration, or if you see the work, the literature work done by Mr. Bhasin and Mr. Amritsar Sen, they are actually defining it. How exactly in the Mr. Bhasin has written one of the book here in the year 2005, and he actually mentioned how a large household of patriarchs which included women, junior men, children, slaves, and domestic servants, all within the rule of the dominant male. So he is actually suggesting that whenever we are talking about the dominance in the family, the subset that is junior men, children, slaves, if you take any of the thing, the patriarchal or, of course, the dominance of male is there in that. The patriarchal system still persists. It's not only that it was there in the past. Now, coming down to, of course, whenever we are talking about the women empowerment or women development, Amrita Sen has, of course, quoted in the year 2011 that there is a plural gender inequality. What exactly this plural gender inequality means? He actually termed those particular gender inequality that is present in plural form. It means there are multiple phases of this inequality, and these phases are actually the mortality inequality, natality inequality, basic facility inequality, special opportunity inequality, professional inequality, ownership inequality, and household inequality. These are the 7 higher or broader inequalities which are present in our society and community. I think you all might be knowing about all these things. Only this one. Natality inequality is taking place since couples want a baby boy and not a girl for this. And this takes help of modern methods to diagnose the sex of the fetus and abort the female fetus. This particular subset usually is this terminology is new to you guys might be, but otherwise mortality, it is of course the death of the person. Natality, I define basic facility means how good facilities are provided to women as compared to men. Special opportunity, how many directors are there, or how many good positions being held up by women, of course. Professional equality, of course, whenever we are talking about the professional equality, it means suppose a woman is working in your office, uh, usually what ownership you are giving, what privileges you are giving, what exactly the salaries which you are giving. That is what the professional inequality counts. And ownership inequality and household ownership inequality means how good you are actually once assigning the role to them, giving the empowerment in per se for uh, owing certain activities or deciding on certain activities to work in. And last but not least, the household inequality, which is very well known to all of you, how exactly the disparity is there in Indian context. Uh, I'm not taking much consideration onto that because you all guys knows about this. It is very much prevalent in our society and of course very much prevalent in our states and now across the globe. Now, this is the high-tech sexism, means basic facility inequality happens when gender bias takes on different forms to give a lesser status to a woman rather than being visible on a demographic aspect. Women and girls often do not have an equal access to schooling opportunities. This particular terminology, high-tech sexism, means as per the gender, we are very much biased. If you take the case for giving the access to school opportunities, we are biased. Likewise, if we are taking the consideration in our professional world, giving training to them, giving special opportunities to them, giving trying to actually demarcate education in terms of men and women. Again, women are disadvantaged there. So these are all those things which are actually talking about whenever we are talking about high-tech sexism. That is what actually the terminology in women development. Now comes this, I actually had mentioned because UN is saying more and more about this. That is, whenever we talk about the women, they do more 60% of the hours of work done in the world, but they get 10% of the world income and of 1% of the world's property. This terminology or this statement given by UN is self-explanatory that how exactly this disparity is and where the variance is lying actually. I was considering or I was talking about somewhere 40%, but here UN itself is saying that women do more than 60% of the work hours, of course, in the world, but they get 10% of the world income. So much huge difference, that is 50% of that, and of only 1% of the world's property. So whenever we are talking about empowering women empowerment or empowering women, just do take consideration of this this particular asset. That is how much percentage of property that particular lady or that particular girl actually owns, and that is where you can very well define it, the disparity in the society and available or present. So this is one big subset for which you can actually take in account and try to actually work on those things. Now let us come to the status of women in India, of course. Status of women as per the Global Gender Gap Report. I'm taking again and again, I'm telling you that I'm taking this particular data not of 2011 because you guys are going to do that, and that is why I'm not taking a very fresh account. Of course, the disparity and the gap area is somewhere very much related to this, or somewhere lies here only. It's not that it goes up actually, and that is why I'm not referring here. So if you take the global gender gap report of the World Economic Forum, India ranks 114 in 128 rate, not 28 countries. The last 14 countries include Nepal and Pakistan too, which are ranked 125th and 126. So whenever we are talking about the gender gap report, it is always a talk of the town. And even in 2006, India ranked 98 out of 115. So again and again, we are at very low, of course. And this data, which is actually coming up as in status of women, talking about what exactly this data is talking about. This is talking for economic participation and opportunity, which I was discussing, political empowerment of the women, of course, educational attainment of the women, and the health and survival data. This particular data actually measures these four categories. Under these categories and these certain subsets, they are ranking the countries, and India is lying somewhere around 98 out of 115 in this. So the last category of health and survival countries is the indicator of female life expectancy and sex ratio at the birth. So whenever you consider this health and survival, do consider the life expectancy of the woman, that is female, and the sex ratio at the birth, of course, because even you can relate this thing to in a different way also. What is the present sex ratio at the birth, and what is the female life expectancy? It is vice versa, of course, but you can, because this particular set, if you go for the sex ratio at the birth, and if you go for the female life expectancy, you will get some other definition of development of women, that is health per se, of course. How good our health infrastructure is, I mean to say by that actually. Now I'm presenting you the data set. Up to now, if anyone is having any of the doubt, please let me know. This all I am actually taking from WCD web, this thing. The data set which I am using here is from WCD, Women and Child Care Development, of course. This is the sex ratio present in India. This is giving a status from since beginning from 1951 to 2001. I didn't took 2011 here. Okay. And as the sex ratio of a female male ratio is the number of, you might be knowing this, nothing complex here to actually understand what exactly they are saying. Sex ratio means female to male ratio, number of female per 1,000 males. And as per the various census, 1951 to 2001, the sex ratio has shown an overall decrease of 13 points. 940 overall is here, of course. If you see, it is 946 in the year 1951 and 933 in the year 2001. So there is a decrease of this. Of course, a decrease of 19 points for rural India, whereas an increase of 40 points has been observed for urban India. Rural, of course, here it is 1965 to 41, 860 to 900, there is an increase, but overall there is 946 to 933, which is a decline, of course. This data shows the strong urban bias regard to the girl child in India. It means this is saying that in urban areas, more and more people are actually going towards with regard to girl child. They are more biased towards a girl child. Okay. This means this. The female male ratio has mostly reduced in the 20th century from 0.97 to in 1901. It has come to 0.993 in 2001. Okay. The ratio is also been reduced in about 20th century too. So this is what the data is saying as per the data and as per the census. And this is very much related actually whenever we are talking about the women per se and women development and child development too. So this is how the variance is there. Now coming to, if you take the case gender gap, of course, gender gap in literacy. And we took here, of course, as per the age group, that is 7+ age group, gender gap in literacy. In total population, it is somewhere around 53.7%. In SC population, it is 41.9%, and in ST population, it is 34.8%. This is what the female, and likewise, gender gap is here, of course, and it is 21.6, 24.7. This is by mistake, it is written 2.1.6, it is 21.6, it is 24.7%, and it is 24.4%. So it lies like this. And if you see what exactly it is saying is, in 1951, only 8.86% female were literate, compared to 27.16% male, and overall literacy rate of 18.33%. So once the census started in year 1951, somewhere here female were actually lying. 8.86% were literate as compared to the male 27, which is there is a variance, more and more variance is there, and the overall, of course, something less, some 10% or so. There is a difference between, if you see the overall literacy rate to the female literacy rate. And in the year, we have 54.6% literacy rate compared to 75.85%. Although this is increased from 8.86 to 54, which is good sign, of course, somewhere 46% increase in this. Okay. If you take consideration from 1951 to 2001, we have in 54% literate females compared to 75% literate, and an overall literacy rate of 65.8. The female, but the male to female gap literacy in literacy in 1957 was 18.30 in 2001. It is 21.7%, which shows how disadvantaged women are. You might be understanding by this that male to female gap in 1951 was 18.30, but in the year 2001, it increased to 21.7 here. This means that women are really disadvantaged if you take education per se, the status of women. A very good sign, of course, a very astonishing fact here, once we are actually discussing more about the education. Although increase in percentage of women from here to here, but if you take the consideration of disparity in education, we are declining there, and our women are disadvantaged there. So somewhere down the line, we need to think for, but you need to go with the census of 2011. I'm taking here up to the 2001. 2011 census will be, can vary actually from here. So you need to take that particular census. Now come to last, of course, table which I am actually referring here for your knowledge, and this is how we are actually representing whenever we are talking about the women empowerment and women development. See, the fertility rate of an woman, of course, if I take woman as a mother, it is also somewhere related to the education of that particular woman. So, and that is why I took this particular data set, that if I talk about the total fertility rate by level of education, with increase in literacy rate, there is a positive change in fertility level, both in rural and urban. The overall data, this data is saying that if a woman is educated, if the girl is educated, and she is a mother, she is going to be a mother, then the fertility rate will be actually good. And if it is not such, there can be a variance on that, there can be a changes on that. The overall rate, it is for literate, it is 2.3. For illiterate, it is 4. Without any formal education, it is 3.4. Below primary, it is 2.8. See, it is going down and down. Primary 2.6, middle 2.3, class 10 2.1, class 11, class 10 2.1, 1.7, it is going down. Graduate and above 1.7. So fertility rate of an this thing. So more and more woman or the girl is educated, graduate and above, it is somewhere around 1.7. Rural is 1.9 and urban is 1.6. So this means fertility rate of an is also directly proportional to the education of a mother, and which is a positive sign. If more girls are educated, this means that their fertility rate will be higher, of course. With this, our today's, of course, discussion is over for the day. If you guys have any suggestions on this, or if you guys have any comments or any queries on this, please let me know. What I did is today is I tried to present it in the form of how you can prepare your data set whenever you are talking about women empowerment, whenever you are talking about women development. These are some of the subsets, but it can actually, you can present it or you can prepare so many subsets or sets on this. If you go through the data sets of various development indexes, there are multiple development indexes and multiple charts which you can use for your presentation and to understand exactly the women empowerment and the women development. Yes, Anu, please, you can unmute yourself and say.
सर आई वाज टेलिंग कि जैसे कि हमने जेंडर रेशियो देखा है, जेंडर गैप जो उन्होंने चार्ट देखा है अभी, तो उसमें रूरल में जेंडर गैप कम है और अर्बन में ज्यादा है. इट मींस कि एजुकेशन और इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन मैटर नहीं करती है जेंडर गैप के लिए.
दैट इज व्हाट, देखिए जब जेंडर गैप की बात कर रहे हैं ना, मैं आपको बताऊं कि जेंडर गैप कई रिलेशंस में हम उसको एक्चुअली अकाउंट करते हैं. ठीक है, हम सबसे बड़ी चीज ये अकाउंट करते हैं कि उस लेडी को, ठीक है, इट इज इमटेरियल वेदर शी इज लिटरेट और शी इज इलिटरेट, उस लेडी को पावर कितनी दी गई. अब पावर देने के सेंस में पावर एक तरीके से ऑफिशियली पावर दी जाती है जो कि उसको रोल की असाइन किया जाता है. ठीक है, अब अगर लेडीज तो हैं, मैं कहूं अगर सपोज करिए कि मेरे ऑफिस में 20 लोग काम करते हैं. ठीक है, 20 में 10 लड़कियां काम करती हैं, 10 फीमेल मेंबर काम करते हैं. इट मीन्स 50% तो मैंने क्या बोलते हैं वुमेन को पार्टिसिपेशन एज पर एम्पावरमेंट कह सकते हैं कि या इनकम जनरेशन के लिए तो दिया है. नाउ अब अगर मैं ये बोलता हूँ कि मेरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में डायरेक्टर्स कितने, ठीक है, तो डायरेक्टर की लिस्ट में आएगा टोटल 10 डायरेक्टर. डायरेक्टर की लिस्ट में वुमेन कितनी है तो पता लगा 1 है. दिस इज एक्चुअली द एग्जैक्ट वेरिएंस. जो जेंडर डिस्पैरिटी है वो इस तरीके से भी रिफ्लेक्ट होती है. इट्स नॉट नोवेयर. दूसरा तरीका बताता हूं मैं आपको. जब हम बात कर रहे हैं कि क्या बोलते हैं वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट की या वुमेन के डिस्पैरिटी के बारे में, अब बहुत सारी महिलाओं के नाम पे अगर प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है तो वो वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन या वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट पे नहीं आएंगे, वो इस इंडेक्स में फॉलो नहीं करेंगे और इसीलिए डिफरेंस हो जाएगा. जबकि मेन के अगेंस्ट में प्रॉपर्टीज होंगी. इट इज इररेस्पेक्टिव वेदर दे आर लिटरेट और इलिटरेट, एंड दिस इज व्हाई दिस डिस्पैरिटी एंड दिस डेविएशन इज देयर. हाँ, अब आप बोलिए.
सर हम कह रहे थे कि फिर इसका मतलब ये हो कि पहले बिहेवियरल चेंज की जरूरत है, फिर लेजिस्लेचर या फिर कोई भी कानून बनाने से या फिर किसी भी और कंपैरिजन में, वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज के कंपैरिजन में हम अगर चाहें कि हम ऐसे कानून ला के बना दें तो ये पॉसिबल नहीं है. इट मींस सर कि ग्राउंड लेवल पे काम करने की जरूरत है ज्यादा.
देखिए, आप एकदम सही कह रही हैं कि हमें सबसे पहले ये समझाना पड़ेगा कि जब भी आप बात कर रहे हैं वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट की, तो वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए हमें ये कहना चाहिए कि हम उसको किस तरीके से अटेन कर सकेंगे. वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट को अटेन करने के पैरामीटर्स क्या हैं. इट्स नॉट ओनली दैट एजुकेशन सिर्फ एक पैरामीटर है. आपको ये भी बताना पड़ेगा कि जो मेल मेंबर्स हैं आपके वर्क ऑफिस में, वर्क प्लेस में, उनकी समझ में ये चीजें आए कि हमें वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट को इस तरीके से भी लेके जाना है कि हमारे जो हेड्स हैं उसमें भी उनका रोल रहे. आप उसको बढ़ाएं. इसीलिए जब बात की जा रही है पॉलिटिकल पार्टिसिपेशन की, तो वो कभी 9% था, जो 12% है, उसको 33% की 33% की बात हम क्यों कर रहे हैं. इसीलिए हम बात कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि अगर आप
सर,
उनको आप बात करेंगे तब
जैसे कि ग्राम पंचायत लेवल पे 33% है, लेजिस्लेशन है, लेकिन पार्लियामेंट में क्यों नहीं हो पा रहा है सर फिर ये?
देखिए आपको बताता हूँ, ग्राम पंचायत पे तो ऑफकोर्स नॉट ओनली 33%, ग्राम पंचायत का डेटा सेट अगर आप उठाएंगे, ठीक है, तो ग्राम पंचायत में टोटल नंबर ऑफ जो इस टाइम वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन है, इट इज मोर देन 50%। टोटल नंबर ऑफ पंचायत प्रधान आप उठाइए, मोर देन 50% है, क्योंकि वहां पे हमने उसको रेगुलेट कर दिया, वहां पे हमने उनको इंपावर भी किया, पावर भी किया, ठीक है। लेकिन जब बात आती है, जैसे ही ये बात आ रही है, व्हेनेवर वी आर कमिंग फॉर empowering these women in political participation as per the Lok Sabha and as per the Rajya Sabha, कहीं ना कहीं पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, चाहे एक्स हो चाहे वाई हो, वो सभी लोग इस चीज को शायद अटेंड करना नहीं चाह रहे। और दो मैं ये जरूर कहूंगा कि लास्ट जो 16th लोकसभा था और 17th लोकसभा के बीच में 3% का मतलब इंक्रीज हुआ है। पहले इट वाज समवेयर अराउंड 9% जो वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन थी, अभी वो इस टाइम प्रेजेंटली 12% है। तो इंक्रीज तो हुआ है ऑफकोर्स, लेकिन उस लेवल पे अभी भी इंक्रीज नहीं है। और जब भी इस मुद्दे को उठाया जाता है कि 33% होना चाहिए, ये कहीं ना कहीं नहीं हो पाता है। इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आपको बता दूं, इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट का एक उदाहरण है कि लोकसभा, आई थिंक लोकसभा या राज्यसभा में इसके ऊपर चर्चा हो रही थी कि पार्टिसिपेशन, वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन 33 होना चाहिए। और ममता बनर्जी जो कि अभी इस टाइम चीफ मिनिस्टर है, वो हाईलाइट भी इसी कारण से तुरंत हुई थी, क्योंकि उन्होंने क्या किया था कि जिस मंत्री ने वुमेन के अगेंस्ट में बोला था और वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन के लिए अगेंस्ट में बोला था, उनके साथ थोड़ा व्यवहार इस तरीके से किया कि वो लाइमलाइट में आ गए, ठीक है। तो ऑफ कोर्स मैं ये जरूर बताना चाहूंगा कि वो इसीलिए नहीं हो पा रहा है कि कहीं ना कहीं वो सोच नहीं है। बातें तो हो रही हैं लेकिन सोच नहीं है, और जब तक सोच नहीं होगी तो उसको इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं कर पाएंगे। एंड दैट इज वाई वो कहीं ना कहीं नहीं हो पा रहा है। इसमें एक पार्टी नहीं, देखिए इसको जब पास कराना है तो आपको सारे पार्लियामेंट से, और प्रोसेस वही होगा जो कल मैंने बताया, राज्यसभा से या लोकसभा से क्या बोलते हैं, रेजोल्यूशन पहले टेबल पे आएगा, फिर उसके ऊपर चर्चा होगी, फिर उसके ऊपर डिस्कशन होगा, और फिर उसके ऊपर वोट होगा।
सर बिल लाना पड़ेगा।
हो तो ये रहा है, चर्चा तो खूब हो रही है, लेकिन जब डिस्कशन पे या डिसीजन पे आ रहे हैं, वोट पे भी नहीं पहुंच पा रहे हैं। तो कहीं ना कहीं कोई नहीं चाह रहा है, मतलब
अगर फार अवे अगर हम बात करें कि फ्यूचर में, तो फिर ये बहुत दूर नजर आता है, क्योंकि अब जब इंटेंशन ही नहीं है ऐसे, तो फिर ऐसे हम कैसे कह सकते हैं कि नहीं वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट होगा।
बट अनु, एक चीज मैं जरूर बोलूंगा, कहीं ना कहीं जहां डाउन द लाइन वो जो पहले 5% था, फिर वो 9% आया, फिर वो 12% आया, तो कहीं ना कहीं तरक्की जरूर है। और एक चीज और बताऊंगा आपको कि जिस तरीके से जैसे हर पार्टीज अब अलाइन कर रही है इस पर्टिकुलर फोकस थीम को कि हाँ नहीं, हमें वुमेन को पार्टिसिपेशन करना है, और अलग अलग मंत्रालय भी वुमेन को दे रहे हैं, तो हर पार्टी इस चीज के लिए सोच रही है। और निकट भविष्य में, आने वाले भविष्य में, आई थिंक ये जो कॉन्टेक्स्ट है वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट का फॉर पॉलिटिकल पार्टिसिपेशन, वो भी बढ़ेगा। आई एम वेरी मच फ्यूचरिस्टिक एंड ऑप्टिमिस्टिक फॉर दिस, क्योंकि वो दिख रहा है कि वो होगा, ठीक है, हो भी रहा है ऑफकोर्स। पंचायत लेवल पर तो सबसे ज्यादा हो रहा है, लेकिन वहां भी एक वेरिएंस या वहां भी एक चीज देखने को आती है कि मोर एंड मोर ऑफकोर्स वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट की जो जितनी लेडीज हैं, जो प्रधान है या सरपंच है, कहीं ना कहीं अभी भी एक थॉट जरूर आ रहा है कि उनके यहाँ जब डिसीजन हो रहा है तो वो कहीं ना कहीं
सर वो प्रधानपति का कॉन्सेप्ट चल रहा है उधर।
हाँ हाँ, तो प्रधानपति का जो कॉन्सेप्ट चल रहा है उसको भी धीरे धीरे, वो भी कहीं ना कहीं उसको हटना तो पड़ेगा ही, या उसमें से एक रास्ता निकालना पड़ेगा कि हाँ, आपके जो प्रधान आए उसमें जो डिसीजन मेकर्स जो रहे, स्ट्रॉन्ग डिसीजन मेकर्स वुमेन कितनी है, उनको और आगे बढ़ाया जाए। तो उसका कुछ अलग तरीके भी निकालने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि ज्यादातर हो तो यही रहा है कि जहां कहीं भी प्रधान है तो वो महिलाएं सिर्फ एक तरीके से मोहरा है, सामने पति जो है वो, पीछे से पति या मेल मेंबर्स घर के बेटे वो डिसीजन ले रहे हैं। तो वो चीज नहीं होनी चाहिए, और निकट भविष्य में शायद नहीं भी होगी, ठीक है। और किसी के कुछ सुझाव या क्वेश्चन हो तो प्लीज अपने आप को अनम्यूट करें, नहीं तो आप सब लोग अपने आप को वीडियो ऑन करिए सो दैट मैं पिक्स ले लूं। और अपना असाइनमेंट्स में अभी किसी को डाउट है? एनीवन इज हैविंग एनी डाउट ऑन द असाइनमेंट? I request all to switch on your videos, please. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. So less. Oh, thank you. And I request my team leaders to prepare the attendance sheet also and share it on the group. By the time, keep doing good. Enjoy your weekend. And of course, try to work on this assignment too. As soon as you are actually submitting it, I and Parvati ji can actually evaluate it. So send it across to me by the end of, I think, Thursday or so. Okay. Thank you. Although the time period is up to the Friday, Friday is the dead end for submitting the assignment. Thanks. I'm closing for the day. Thank you. Namaskar.
You, sir.
Thank you, sir. Vanakkam, sir.
Vanakkam, vanakkam.